Today we are painting a peaceful watercolor landscape with calm water reflections. Before we begin, here are the supplies I'm using today. Begin with wetting the entire paper with clean water. Now I'm picking up cobalt blue hue and starting from the top of the paper, I'm creating gradient wash, keeping the top darker, then softening the color as I move towards the center. Now I'm also adding darker pigment at the bottom of the paper to represent deeper water. The middle area stays lighter because that's where our horizon and reflection will feel calm and soft. This simple gradient already creates depth between sky and water. While the paper is still wet, I'm using a tissue to gently blot the paint. This lifting technique helps create soft clouds in the sky. Try not to rub the paper, just gently press and lift. You'll notice how it creates natural cloud shapes without having to paint them directly. This is one of the easiest ways to create texture in watercolor. Now I'm going to add slightly darker mix of same blue with neutral tint, and I'm placing this color under some of the lifted areas to create soft cloud shadows. This step adds dimension and makes the cloud feel more realistic. Remember to keep your brush light and damp to dry. Do not have dripping water or paint in it. Also make sure that the pigment is diluted enough and of a very light tint, because if it's going to be overpowering, the shadows will look unnatural. As you can see, I added a darker color, darker pigment, so I'm trying to blend it and smooth it out with a damp and clean brush. We do not want dark shadows here, we just want subtle shadows. Once the paper was slightly drier, I started painting my horizon line and mountains around it. I first blocked the shape with Hansa yellow for the mountains and for the landmass, and then I mixed my green with cobalt blue and Hansa yellow, adding a little bit of quinacridone gold for the darker shades. And as you can see, I started dropping the paint wherever I wanted to suggest trees and foliage. That's how I kept it loose. At the same time, I had the warmth of the daylight and the grass, and also different shades of green gave it a lot of depth. Now I started painting the reflection with the similar color and similar shape. This time I used a diluted paint for the calm reflection, and I started pulling the paint out with my number 2 brush so that it looks like the water has a little bit of movement, though it is calm water, but there is a slight movement, and makes it feel like there are ripples in the water. I'll repeat the same step on the other side of the mountain so that I have reflections created which are uniform to my landmass. And as you can see, I'm just doing the same thing. This time I mixed a little more quinacridone gold so that the green looks a little more on the darker side. This green also has a touch of indigo in it to create the darker and a duller effect. I'm using the tip of my number 2 brush to create the impact of the foliage and create a little bit of sense of continuity in the mountains, and also creating the reflections accordingly. To connect the landscape with water, as you can see, I'm gently pulling the paint across the paper. These strokes create soft reflections in the water. Keep the strokes light so that the reflection feels natural. Next, I'm going to sharpen the trees and the foliage on the landmass so that there is a sense of depth. Once you're done with painting your land and the reflections, we will then paint a few birds to add a little life and interest in our landscape. Using the tip of my brush, I'm painting simple V-shaped strokes. You don't need too many birds, just a few small words help create sense of distance and movement. Now as a final step, I'm adding white highlights to the water. I'm using white gouache, but you can also use a gel pen. These small horizontal strokes suggest light reflecting on the surface of calm water. And that's our peaceful watercolor landscape. Simple techniques, soft textures, and calm reflection. Thank you so much for painting along with me today. Let me know in the comments if you try this painting. I'd love to hear how it turned out for you. And if you've enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more watercolor videos like this. I'll be dropping a new tutorial next week, so stay tuned and happy painting.